An old Italian showed me how to make wine. I'll show you how the process goes. Anything that touches the wine needs to be cleaned with bleach. If it's not cleaned with bleach and if you don't have an air trap, it's going to turn to vinegar. Wash the grapes in cold water. I'll put the grapes in a pickle jar. If there's grapes that don't look so great, set those aside. When you get them into the jar, you can start to crush them. Put your hand in the jar, just kind of squish them up. For the fermenting process, we'll leave the skins and the seeds and everything in there. Make sure everything's crushed. Make sure I don't get any bad grapes in there. Sometimes I'll take a separate bowl and crush them up in there. This way I'm sure that I get all of them crushed up. Then I'll pour it into the jar. Any grapes will make wine. These are Candice grapes. The biggest difference between the old Italian method of making wine and the modern way is you don't cook any of this. Because you don't boil it, the natural enzymes will create the yeast that goes into the wine. It doesn't get any more natural than this. Another big difference is it's fermented with the seeds, with the skins, everything. I do remove the stems because they can be a little bitter. To keep the air out, it's got to be filled all the way to the top. With it completely full, we can put the top. I've got a hole in the top, so I'll put the air trap in. Make sure it seals. You'll need a tray for the jar. In a couple of days, you'll see the fermentation start. We'll feed the scraps to the chickens. They love it. Fill up the water trap. After a couple of days, you can see it's displacing a lot of liquid. You can see how much liquid's at the top of the air trap. You can see there's a lot of fermentation starting. It's been well over a week, and the fermentation is slowing down quite a bit now. There's not a lot of bubbling going on in the water trap. I'm seeing some fruit flies, so I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up and let the fermentation process continue. I'll get everything all cleaned up. With everything clean, I'll let this sit for another week. Then I'll be able to separate all the skins from the juice. After about 3 weeks, I don't see any more fermenting happening. We'll open it up and strain out the wine. We'll run everything through a Foley mill. We'll pour it all in. It smells wonderful. This will separate all the juice. The juice down here would be considered the first pressing, and if you wanted to, you could fill this up with water and make a second pressing. You put the mash back in the bottle. For the second pressing, you just fill it up with water. The wine that this makes is not nearly as good as the first press. We'll pour the wine into a clean bottle. Air trap in the top. Pour in some water to keep the yeast out. We'll add water into the second pressing. For this to become clearer, this is going to have to settle out. Even after 5 minutes, you can see there's quite a bit of settling. Give it a few more months, it'll really start to clear up. Just keep water in the trap. If you don't mind that the wine's not clear, you can just drink it like this. Once this settles out, I'll show you what to do. We'll siphon out the clear wine into a bottle. We just need it lower than the bottle we're siphoning from. We'll pull the air trap off. Place the tube in, but don't go too low. Then let the clear wine siphon into this bottle here. You can see the sediments at the bottom. You want to make sure that your tube doesn't get into those sediments. Here you can see how clear the wine is. It'll siphon slow, but that's what you want. With another 10 minutes, you can see how much of the sediments have come to the bottom of this one. That's how I make wine the old Italian way. Cheers.